Morning. Welcome to the 17th annual release of Kids in Danger's report on children's product recalls. We're excited to be joined by so many allies and advocates as we report on the state of children's product safety and join U.S. Representative Jan Schakowsky and others here in announcing strong new legislation to prevent furniture tip-overs. This report, 2018 Children's Product Recalls, shows that in 2018, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled fewer children's products than any year since we began tracking, which was 2001. This and other trends we will discuss show a slowdown of activity at the agency. 52 children's products were recalled in 2018, down 44% from last year. It's tricky to say whether low recall numbers are a good thing, meaning there's fewer dangerous products out there, or a sign of lax enforcement, leaving dangerous products on store shelves and in our homes. Indicators this year, such as less effective action in lieu of recalls and fewer findings of design defects in the recalls that were announced, make us worry it is the latter. At least two instances of CPSC taking less effective action than a recall. First, in May, CPSC issued a very vague warning to consumers about infant incline sleep products. You might know them as the Fisher-Price Rock and Play or other products similar to that. But of course, parents don't know that they're called infant incline sleep products. These products are associated with at least 17 deaths, but the warning did not name any specific products or announce a recall or stop sale of those products. Then in November, a lawsuit that had been filed under the previous CPSC administration against Britax over the Bob jogging strollers for a front wheel that could come loose, causing almost 100 injuries, was settled with no recall of the product. Instead, the company is offering a very confusing information campaign where consumers are urged to watch a video to get certain incentives. The incentives are never clearly spelled out to be the part that will, in fact, make your stroller safe. It is time limited, does not require any products to be fixed or returned, and leaves the products in homes and available easily for resale. In addition, most of the children product recalls this year were for clear violations of mandatory rules, flammability, lead paint, violation of a standard, rather than finding that a product had a design flaw that led or might lead to injuries. Products with design hazards that do not violate a current standard take more time and effort to recall, but are equally important to remove from the market. In our report, 90% of the incidents prior to a recall and 100% of the injury were caused by those products with design defects. Additional findings of the report include nursery products, the very products you buy to care for your children, were the largest group, 25% of the recalled products. Lead recalls, surprisingly after all this time, are back on the rise. Last year, in 2017, there was one recall for a lead hazard. In 2018, despite many fewer recalls, there were 5 recalls, almost 10% of the products that were recalled. Both the CPSC and manufacturers posted recalls on Facebook at much lower rates in 2018 than in 2017. CPSC only posted 45%, fewer than half of the recalls on its Facebook page, a sharp decrease from 2017 when they posted 75%, and that was the first year they had used it, so they're already dropping off. Of the companies that issued recalled in 2018, only 31% were announced on the company's Facebook page, down from 51% in 2017. KID urges the CPSC to do more to hold manufacturers accountable for timely and effective recalls. The report did not include recall effectiveness numbers this year due to a lack of response from the CPSC's Freedom of Information or FOIA office. We will be releasing those later in the year when we can get them. But publicly available numbers show a continuing low rate of recall participation. I have just one example I've told the people up here, but yesterday walking through my alley, I saw a crib out in the alley someone was putting out. They left it with all the things if someone else wanted to use it. It was a drop-side crib that was recalled in 2010, and it is still, someone still was trying to be thoughtful and pass it on for someone else to use. And so once a product is recalled, most of them do remain in use, which is why it's so important to make sure products are safe from the beginning. We recommend parents check saferproducts.gov for recalls and injury reports and sign up for safety updates at places like kidsindanger.org. In addition, Parents should report problems with the product both to the manufacturer and to saferproducts.gov, which is a public database. The CPSC has stated that one child dies every 10 days from a furniture or TV tip-over. Yet, there were no recalls for furniture instability in 2018. In 2017, Connor DeLong died when an IKEA Hemnes 8-drawer dresser, such as this one here, tipped over. Despite his death, as well as a viral video showing the same dresser tipping on twin toddlers, the dresser was not recalled last year. In fact, there were no furniture recalls. This brings me to the other reason that we are here today. We are joined by U.S. Representative Jan Schakowsky, parent advocates, and consumer organization to announce action to require a strong safety standard for furniture. I will introduce Jan now to make a statement.
So I, in the majority now, am the chair of the Consumer Protection Subcommittee of the Energy and Commerce Committee. And what that means is that the Consumer Product Safety Commission is under my jurisdiction. But the point of being here today is to make people understand that the government is responsible for making sure, doing everything it can to prevent unnecessary deaths from products that are defective. And we have been working for a long time, along with KIDS, along with the Consumer Federation of America, to try and make sure that the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, really does its job. As you heard, there are deaths from tip-over dressers. You know, you decorate a room for your child. I think most parents can understand that, and you buy a nice dresser for the child's belongings. And then you find that kids, as they will, open a drawer, step on it, try and reach for something, and the dresser tips over. Or whatever was on the dresser, a television, tips over. We have here today individuals, moms, who have lost their children. These are the people you really want to hear from, because these are the consequences of when we insufficiently have a regulatory agency to recall the products. Now, the CPSC says there is a recall. All these recalls are voluntary right now. And the standards that are set for these products are voluntary. And I have a piece of legislation, we call it the Sturdy Act, that will make sure that these recalls are mandatory, that they have to be off the market. Here's the other thing that the manufacturers say, IKEA in particular, that they will give you something to attach the dresser to the wall. Now, if you're a renter and you are worried about the deposit that you've made, you're not likely to stick things in the wall to hold that dresser in place, because they say then it meets the standard. And so that is not sufficient to protect children's lives. We are having a hearing next month, bringing in the Consumer Product Safety Commission to talk about their authorities. And soon after that, it is my intention to introduce this Sturdy Act, House and Senate bicameral legislation, to make sure that this simply does not happen again. I think the people you really need to hear from are the people who have suffered the consequences of lax regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. So we will now hear from 4 parent advocates who have traveled here from across the U.S. to share their support for the Sturdy Act and share their stories with you. You have more detailed information in the press packets with their full statements, but today they're each going to make a short statement to you. And we're going to start with Lisa Seifert, and then each of the other parents will come up and speak.
I'm Lisa Seifert. I founded Shane's Foundation, and I'm co-founder of PAT, Parents Against Tip-Overs. This is my son, Shane. Last week, it was 8 years since my son passed away from a dresser falling on him. We were the family that purchased all the baby-proofing items from the display in the store. Outlet covers, cabinet locks, but that store, like many others, they don't have furniture anchoring straps on their shelves. I knew I had to warn families about this hidden danger in their homes, as well as advocate for safer dressers. One child dies on average every 10 days, and thousands are injured every year from falling dressers. This means approximately over 200 children have died since my son passed away. Realizing the need for a stronger voice in 2018, I co-founded PAT, Parents Against Tip-Overs. It's a national coalition of parents with children that have passed away from dresser tip-overs. These mothers here with me today could be home with their children if we had a stronger standard in place. CPSC and manufacturers have delayed too long making effective change to the standard. Sturdy will finally address this. We can't wait any longer. The time is now.
Hello, my name is Crystal Ellis, and my son Camden was killed when his 30-inch dresser trapped him while he was trying to get to his clothing inside. My husband went to wake him for breakfast 2 days before his second birthday, and he was under his dresser and not breathing. I immediately started CPR as I was trained to do, and he died after 4 days in a coma on Father's Day, 2014. Maya Angelou once said, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better." I did everything I knew to do as a parent to protect my child. I did not know that his dresser was not designed for stability, or that a dresser that he was taller than needed to be anchored to the wall to keep him safe. However, furniture manufacturers and the CPSC knew better. And now, with the help of the Sturdy Act, we are helping them do better. I believe making a mandatory standard that takes into account real-world use by a child with dynamic testing would have saved my son. It is time to do better and save other families from the heartache that our family lives with every day.
My name is Janet McGee. On Valentine's Day 3 years ago, I put my 22-month-old son Ted down for a nap. I was checking on him frequently, but the last time I went to check on him, I quietly opened his bedroom door and immediately saw his dresser had fallen forward and he was trapped underneath it. We never heard the dresser fall because his little body absorbed the noise. My precious little boy died about 4 hours later at the hospital. We initially thought Ted's death was a freak accident, but today I can tell you that he was the 8th child that we know of to die from an IKEA dresser in a 27-year period of time before the company finally recalled 29 million dressers that did not meet the current safety standard. The Sturdy Act would make it mandatory for a company to adhere to safety standards before selling their clothing storage units to us as consumers. And it would empower the CPSC to hold these companies accountable if they fail to comply with the new standard. Had the Sturdy Act been made into law years ago when this tip-over issue became apparent, Ted might still be with us today. It's finally time for change.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan DeLong. This is my son, Connor. On Mother's Day morning 2 years ago, I woke up to my 2-year-old son, happy, cheerful, laughing with his brother in their room. What
Susan,
I saw
can
when I...
interrupt? Can everybody hear? Are you getting the sound? Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Go ahead.
What I saw when I opened the door is something that's burned into my memory for a lifetime. My beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy was trapped beneath his dresser. He was unresponsive when I pulled him out from beneath his dresser. I never saw his beautiful blue eyes again. He died in my arms the next day. I worked as an educator and a child development specialist, and I didn't know about unstable furniture. I had 3 home studies done on my home before the adoption of my boys, and they didn't know about unstable furniture. The dresser that took Connor's life met voluntary safety standards developed by ASTM. The dresser didn't come with a warning label or even anchoring kits to alert consumers of the danger that it could cause. This dresser has not been recalled to date and is still being sold to families just like mine nationwide. The Sturdy Act will address accountability for ensuring that standards are commensurate with the current height and weight of a 5-year-old child. Had there been a stronger mandatory standard in place, when this dresser was purchased, maybe Connor would still be here today and I wouldn't be standing here telling you his story. Thank you.
So I just want to really thank the parents for coming. As hard as it is for us to listen, imagine how hard that is. And I want to point out, Megan was unable to, but this is the model dresser that killed her son. We're also joined today by some of the nation's largest consumer groups to lend their support both to our report findings and the Sturdy Act. Rachel Weintraub will start, and then we'll hear from Meg Bone from Consumer Reports.
I'm Rachel Weintraub, Legislative Director and General Counsel with Consumer Federation of America, an association of nearly 300 nonprofit consumer organizations across the United States. It is such an honor to be in Chicago, a bastion of product safety, due to the incredible work of Nancy Coles and Kids in Danger and Representative Schakowsky, and such an honor to be here today with these moms who have turned horrific tragedy into advocacy to benefit every family in the United States. It's incredible. KID's excellent report documents that there are fewer recalls with fewer important elements. The report identifies that both the CPSC and product manufacturers are not doing all they can to effectively recall products. That fewer manufacturers are posting recalls on social media is unacceptable. That CPSC is posting fewer recalls to their social media is unacceptable. That no furniture has been recalled for killing or injuring children is unacceptable. That is why the Sturdy Act is so incredibly important. We need a strong mandatory rule to ensure the stability of our furniture to prevent tragedies that you heard about just now. Furniture should be stable. Unfortunately, too many children and too many families have suffered the consequences of furniture that is not stable and that has tipped over on children and killed or injured them. Every 10 days, a child dies from furniture tipping over on them. We must implement solutions to prevent these deaths and injuries. While a voluntary standard exists, it does not go far enough. And while the CPSC is taking steps in the right direction, they are also not enough. The Sturdy Act is the right solution for this product safety hazard. The Sturdy Act is based upon a strong and effective provision of the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act that passed in 2008. Section 104 named Danny's Law in memory of 16-month-old Danny Kaiser, who on May 12, 1998, at his licensed child care facility in Chicago, passed away. Danny was killed by a defective children's product, a mesh portable crib, where he napped in the afternoons at his child care home. Section 104 is law, thanks to Representative Schakowsky and others, but really led by Representative Schakowsky, seeks to prevent further tragedies from unsafe children's products by giving the Consumer Product Safety Commission the clear authority and responsibility to develop mandatory standards for durable infant and toddler products such as cribs, strollers, and high chairs. The Sturdy Act builds on that successful model by requiring the CPSC to issue a mandatory standard for furniture to ensure that the furniture is what consumers already expect, that it is stable. The standard must consider how consumers use furniture and must include all clothing storage units, including those under 30 inches. The Sturdy Act will require testing to simulate real-world use, the weight of children up to 72 months, require testing to simulate surfacing such as carpeting, conditions such as loaded drawers, and the dynamic force of a climbing child. Strong, clear warnings will be required, and a final rule must be issued within a year of enactment of the Sturdy Act. The Kid Report, the many parents of Pat who have turned their tragedies into incredible activism, and the mounting number of incidents compels stronger action to protect children from unstable furniture. This is exactly what the Sturdy Act seeks to achieve, and we applaud Representative Schakowsky for introducing this strong bill that we hope will become law, and we know that it will save lives. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Meg Bona of Consumer Reports. We thank Kids in Danger and Congresswoman Schakowsky for hosting this event today, and we're honored to stand with these parents, our fellow consumer advocates, and the Congresswoman to call for stronger protections to help prevent dresser tip-overs. Hundreds of deaths involving dressers and other clothing storage units have occurred since 2000. Thousands of emergency room injuries happen each year because of these incidents. The terrible toll on children became a call to action at Consumer Reports. We launched an ongoing investigation into the stability of dressers in the marketplace. This includes our own testing of dressers, as well as the analysis of government data. On the basis of our investigation, it became clear that the current industry standards are inadequate. Our testing has demonstrated that it is feasible for dressers at all price points to pass a more rigorous test, and our analysis of the injury and fatality data shows why it's necessary for furniture manufacturers to meet a stronger standard. As a result, we have called for stronger standards to be quickly implemented to protect children. Right now, consumers have no easy way to simply look at a dresser and tell whether it's likely to tip over. Heavy and light dressers can tip over. Large and small dressers can tip over. That's why the standards need to change. A more effective, mandatory standard will help save children's lives. This is especially critical given the lack of any recent action by the CPSC to recall dressers currently on the market that don't stay upright when put through basic testing. Consumer Reports strongly supports the Sturdy Act and urges its swift passage to prevent these avoidable tip-over tragedies. We thank all of the parents who are doing the hard work of turning their tragedies into progress towards safer dressers.
So that concludes comments. You have both the report, the Sturdy Act, the stories of the parents, and we will now open it up for questions.